Welcome back. In this segment, we're going to talk a little Trump, and no, we are not going to do it just in bursts of 140 characters. As you know, and as we all learned from the moment he took that escalator ride in Trump Tower to begin his campaign, Trump ain't your typical politician, and we're pretty sure he won't be your typical president. But part of his Twitter exchange about Israel yesterday got us, or I should say got me, wondering. Trump, of course, broke some measure of protocol by telling Israel to stay strong and that January 20th is fast approaching. Remarkably, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded on Twitter with a thank you to Trump and then with emojis of the American and Israeli flags like they were trading notes in study hall. All it was missing was a heart emoji or perhaps a gif of a puppy wagging his tail or something like that. But it does beg some serious questions like, is this really how we're doing foreign policy now on Twitter? Are mutually admiring tweets in the best interest of the nation? And more importantly, how seriously should we take Trump's tweets? Literally? Or are Twitter conversations like that just a way to appease people and distract us all while the real work of policy and governing happens well out of the public's view? Here to analyze, opine, and in one case annoy me are our panelists. A former Democratic...
That's me.
Richard Brodsky, a former Democratic New York State Assemblyman.
Someone has to do it.
Lots of perks. Now a senior fellow at Demos and a professor at NYU. Dominic Carter is here, political journalist and author. And Bill O'Reilly,
token Republican.
Republican strategist. And now a member of the Conservative Party. And at this point, 3 minutes into the segment, we're off the rails.
You're against Twitter?
I'm just wondering, what is the Twitter stuff
Take out
to
your quill pen, dip it into the ink, and on your parchment, write out a message and have the the Pony Express come on, man. Twitter is
I'm not saying he shouldn't use Twitter, and I'm not saying that Twitter is bad, but Bill, is Twitter just basically to distract the masses while who knows what is going on behind the scenes? How seriously do you take Donald Trump's tweets?
I don't know is the answer. I don't know. I mean, he's got so many millions of followers that it's a real weapon. It's a tool that works. I think he plays it. I think in some sense it's a press release. It's a quick statement that goes out. In other sense, it's to feel the mood of the world at this point. It's never been done this way. I mean, President Obama had a Twitter account. But to do policy by Twitter, I don't know.
And to engage with other countries, particularly by Twitter.
I mean, that's pretty wild, though. Think about it. You have the foreign leaders of two nations communicating that way, and the world watches it. The world can watch. It cuts out the press, certainly, and the press follows it, which is significant. But it's the direct communication is new, and it's the sign of the times. That's where we are.
Richard, hang on a second. Dominic, let me get your opinion.
Well, Bill just hit it right on the head. It's a way to ignore or get around the Fourth Estate. What the president-elect is doing is outrageous and disgusting. Oh, now, Twitter is a way to go in this common day and age, but it is a way for him to issue these statements that are completely unchecked. Remember, I'm going to be brutally honest. Wait, I'm going to be brutally honest right now. Okay, brutally honest.
Let me tweet.
Political report. Are you tweeting right now, Mr. O'Reilly? Okay, brutally honest here. What do and you know this, Mr. Whitman? What do political reporters do when we're going to a news conference? What do we do for half of our day leading into that news conference?
Prepping questions.
And when you say prepping questions, what do you really mean?
You're trying to figure out what his response is going to be, how you're going to get him on something that he has.
The tough question.
So we spend, thank you, sir, we spend half of our day leading into that news conference. How are we going to trip up this candidate?
Exactly.
And we play out that response, every possible response that the candidate can respond, hold on, every possible response, and then we trip them up. And wait, let me finish. And that's the American way.
This is a confession.
That's the way we do it.
So Trump look good.
So Trump gets to avoid all of that in a disgusting way by completely avoiding the media.
Richard Brodsky.
Bourgeois is all I have to say here.
All right, Bill.
Look, wait a minute.
It's a great topic.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Twitter is a medium of communication. It is not better or worse than any other medium of communication, be it mimeograph press releases or whatever else people do. Leave Trump alone on the way he communicates and start focusing on what he's saying, which is not your complaint. He has every right to tweet, hold a press conference, not hold a press conference, evade you people. Sorry.
Wait, can I just ask this one question? So wait a minute. So Mr. Brodsky, let me ask you this question. If we're going to have government via Twitter, Why didn't he tell us this during the campaign? That as soon as he got,
campaign via
and so, wait. Why didn't he tell us as soon as I get elected, I'm going to flip everything I said, and I'm not even going to talk to the media. I'm just going to issue a Twitter statement.
That's what he did during the campaign.
No, did he tell us that's what he was going to do?
Yeah,
He did have press conferences during the campaign.
Right, of course he did.
Once since July, but he had press conferences.
And they were held at public events, and he would make fun of the reporters. Get over it. It's not about you. It's
not,
about
you're right.
what he's going to do.
Right. It's about it's about the American people. And he is redefining the word slick. And that's hard for a politician because what he is doing, we can't ask him.
He's cutting out the middleman.
No, but it's not right.
We
cannot on behalf of the American people. We can't ask him any tough questions.
Get over
Don't they do this in other countries and it's called other things?
It's what he says, not where he says it.
Interacting with other foreign leaders.
The question is, what's his position on settlements, not whether he's discussing it on Twitter.
But interacting with foreign leaders on Twitter, especially as he's still president-elect.
I can't believe this. This is the Manichaean foginess. That's a very hard sentence to get out.
That's fake language.
The Luddites here. Luddites.
Manichaean means never mind.
All right, let's move on. For the second time since winning the election, Trump yesterday announced another company's commitment to him that they will generate some new jobs.
I was just called by the head people at Sprint, and they're going to be bringing 5,000 jobs back to the United States. They're taking them from other countries. They're bringing them back to the United States.
Last month, of course, Trump announced the Carrier air conditioners would reduce the size of a plant moved to Mexico, saving about 800 jobs in Indiana. He then got into a Twitter fight with a union chief who pointed out Carrier was still sending more than 1,000 jobs to Mexico. It's a continuation of the same conversation we had around the time of the Carrier deal, Bill, but this is something that a governor would normally do or a county executive. Hey, we've got this deal to bring jobs here, to keep jobs here. We've never seen this from a president before. Is it unusual? Is this... It's definitely unusual, but is this a way to really build jobs in this country, one company at a time?
I think he's trying to build the conversation. I think he's trying to get momentum behind bringing jobs back. I think this is good news, no matter how you look at it. The Carrier deal, there was some financial incentives. You can question that. I don't love that play. But in this case, it was just jobs coming back, and I think he's also going to be trying to bring capital back with business tax cuts. But I think he's trying to start a narrative. He wants to encourage companies, and if he has to guilt them to come back or shame them into coming back and bringing jobs back here. I think it's a plus.
Richard, there's also some PR cover that he immediately gets, because whether he actually creates any jobs or not, he can say, look, I met with Carrier, look, I met with Sprint.
Other presidents have done this. Obama did it with green jobs. It's perfectly appropriate to do it if it's true. And the problem with this stuff with Trump is that he's buying his way back, as Bill just pointed out, on stuff that makes no economic sense. I have no idea what Sprint's plans were. He has a facility for making these announcements, and 6 months later you find out what the reality is. But again, don't criticize him for the announcements, criticize him for the policies. And there we have to wait and see. These are not the areas where he's weak or subject to fair criticism.
Dominic, when we talk about employment and employment numbers over the course of a month, we're talking about 150,000, 200,000, more than that. 8,000 jobs at one place, or 5,000 jobs at Sprint and 800 jobs at Carrier. Is there a concern that maybe he's taken his eye off the bigger picture by focusing on these details?
Well, we would hope not, Andrew, but I hate to admit it that Mr. Brodsky is correct in terms of the element of this all plays right to his strong suit. And remember that what I've always said, you've made this point as well, all politics are local. All politics are local. So if you and I are two of those jobs out of the 5,000 that are now not going to be unemployed with no ways to survive or get on with our lives or pay for our kids' education, and now because of Trump's announcement, while it may be phony to some, if we're going to go from the employed to the unemployed and back to the employed role, that's all that counts. And so Brodsky is right.
90 odd consecutive months of job growth. Unprecedented since 1970, under Barack Obama. Eventually, the policies that Trump is putting forward will either create jobs or they won't. He can have all the press conferences he wants, but if unemployment rate goes up and job creation goes down, these announcements will have no meaning.
Bill, last question on this. Let's say I'm a business that's looking to expand. I already have plans to expand. I'm going to hire 1,000 new people for whatever my business happens to be. what would stop me from calling up the Trump people and being like, hey, I got this 1,000 jobs that are coming. If you want to take credit for it and sort of pluck me out to be Cinderella from all this.
I was thinking a similar thing. The press value that Sprint just got is tremendous. To have the president-elect of the United States come out there and say, great news for Sprint, they're bringing jobs back here. You're shopping for a new phone, you're going to decide, and Sprint's top of mind as a result. This is all great stuff for Sprint or any other company that decides to do it, and I think Trump is encouraging them to do that. I'm sure companies will be calling him with their good news that he can share.
But then
it's
he's
good for both
picking
ends.
one basically to shine a light on, unless he's going to pick them all.
If they're bringing jobs back, it's kind of a win-win there.
Pick them all. Anytime he gets something like this, whatever the reason or cause for the announcement, he's going to try to take credit for it. Every president does.
Took about a year, but he's back to Trump cheerleader mode.
I'm not up to Trump cheerleader. I think what Trump's plans for the country are awful, but it's the policies, not the Twitter feeds, and not the crazy press announcements that offend me.
All right, finally, Trump was not alone as he peeked his head out of Mar-a-Lago yesterday to talk to the press. There, standing next to Trump, was Don King, the boxing promoter and, of course, self-promoter. Anybody on the panel want to take a stab at why Trump would pose with King, and does that help Trump at all?
Well, I can tell you real simple. Dinero. It comes down to money. Do you know
How does Don King provide?
Do you know how many millions Don King and Donald Trump have made off of each other in the boxing arena? I am talking probably easily north
Don King
of.
is broke.
Well, he may be broke now, but I'm talking about 15
God, I
years
hope he's
ago.
broke, yeah.
I'm talking easily north of $100 million each.
So,
And put Sharpton in that bunch as well.
so is this a make good for King?
Well, remember, Don King, Mr. Self-Promoter, tried to get close to Trump during the campaign, but Trump decided it would be a net loss, so he didn't let him do it. And so, again, these guys have made millions off of each other.
This is what's going to pass for diversity in the Trump world. And it's not
That's
gonna,
diversity?
That's all you got.
Him and Kanye West?
I don't like Don King, but he is black. I mean, it's like you say he's not, but Don King destroyed boxing. I'm a King fan.
You think I said he was not
You called
black?
him diversity, but
it
I'm
is.
not a fan of Don King. I think he destroyed boxing. I think he destroyed boxers. I think he chewed up Mike Tyson.
Why aren't you out there meeting with Trump?
All right,
because Donald will trip him up.
Because I guarantee that would trip him up. That's exactly why. I'm glad you said that.
Why-
That's
why-
exactly
why-
why.
Your job
The-
is to trip him up.
let Dominic talk.
That is on behalf of the American people.
It's not to trip
Can I
him up.
finish, please?
It's to get the truth out.
Can I, on behalf of the
Trip 'em
American
up.
people,
You just exposed
my
yourself.
job, as I did in the interview with Trump in 2008,
don't-
is to expose
No,
what
it's not.
exactly where he's coming
It's to
from.
Get the truth out, not to trip him up. No wonder you're not getting the interview.
To trip him up
Oh,
over
I
the
get
truth.
the interviews.
To trip
but-
him up over the truth. We're
Right.
not asking him to
Thank
make stuff
you, Mr.
up.
Whitman. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Can I
welcome.
have some of that Trump Kool-Aid you've been drinking?
Or whatever it is you've been drinking.
I have no further comment to this.
We love having you on the show. You know that,
We
right?
do.
All right.
We
Up
do.
next, the new Tappan Zee Bridge continues to climb out of the Hudson, and as questions continue about how we're paying for it, one lawmaker wants to know how much drivers will have to pay at the toll plaza. We sit down with State Senator David Carlucci next.